What up, guys? Carolina Jackpot coming at you. It's Thursday evening, and it's time for some Week 11 picks against the spread for the weekend of November the 13th. Let's see what we can do here. I'm starting this video a little bit late, so I had to scratch the UNC pick game, unfortunately. I'm starting this video after it already started, but just for shits and gigs, I want to take Pitt to cover the spread. All right, let's jump into it. We got Cincinnati tomorrow night going on the road to South Florida. South Florida catching 23.5 at home. Cincinnati left out of the playoff scenario again this week. They've had three less than stellar performances against teams from their conference that weren't very good teams, and I think that they halt that skid on Friday night. I do think they go to South Florida, and I think they blow out the Bulls. This is a team is worse than the other three that they've not done very well against in Navy, Tulane, and Tulsa. So I'm going to take Cincinnati to get back on the right side of the tracks here and blow out South Florida. I think they should win that game by like 30 points. Shouldn't even be a contest. South Florida, yeah, they're getting a little bit better, but Cincinnati just way too much talent, way too much firepower. They should easily blow this team out. Getting into the Saturday slate, my pick, South Carolina at Mizzou. This one showed up early on the docket here. Mizzou is laying 1 at home against the Gamecocks, according to this. Then it was a pick-em, and now I think South Carolina is actually favored by a point. So a lot of volatility in this line. And, you know, I just think that the Gamecocks found a running game last week. I think they found a decent quarterback. Missouri is a team that I think is kind of teetering on the edge of just kind of saying fuck it for the rest of the season. Quarterback Connor Bazelak, they call him Bedazzled Sack, hadn't really looked that great this year. And he's been injured, which I don't think he's going to play Saturday, but be quite honest with you, I don't really know that it would make a difference if he did or not. I think South Carolina's just going to pound the rock. They went to a man-blocking scheme against Florida, absolutely blew them out, rushed for almost 300 yards in that game. I see a similar scenario here against Missouri. Maybe they don't blow them out quite like they did Florida, especially this being a road game, and South Carolina now being looked on in a favorable light. But I do think the Gamecocks win this game and cover that number. New Mexico State going on the road to Alabama. Alabama laying 51.5 at home. Make no mistake about it, New Mexico State is not good. They've won one game, and that was by 10 points against South Carolina State earlier in the season. They've put some points up on the board, though. That's the only thing that you can really say positive about the season is their offense has not looked absolutely anemic. They have been able to score this season. Case in point, 37-31 with San Jose State. Put 28 up on the board against Nevada. Put 34 on the board against Hawaii. I know these aren't juggernaut defensive teams, but still, 25 on the board with New Mexico State. So, I think this, coupled with the fact that Alabama is just not, I'm not going to say they're a broken team or they're a flawed team, really, but they're not as good as the Alabama teams that we've seen the past few years. I think this is like Alabama light. And most of their woes are on the offensive side of the football. Their defense hasn't looked as good to me as it has in years past either. So I just think if New Mexico State's even able to just score one touchdown or maybe 10 points, they still keep it within that 51.5 number. So I'm going to go with the old Gauchos to cover the 51.5 against Alabama. Remember, Alabama only beat Mercer like 38-14. And I think they're kind of in cruise control mode right here in this game. Don't look for a real impressive showing from the Crimson Tide, although I think they win comfortably. Michigan on the road at Penn State. This one's a pick'em according to my paperwork here. It actually is Michigan -1.5 as of right now. This is another one that's had a little bit of volatility to the line as well. I'm going to go kind of against the grain here. I'm going to go with the upset, if it could be called an upset. I'm going to take in Penn State at home. I think that this is going to be a tough spot for Michigan here. Coming off of the loss a couple of weeks ago at Michigan State. Last week kind of cruised against Indiana, but I really just don't get why they are ranked ahead of Michigan State in the playoff rankings, a team that beat them. Each one has one loss, and Michigan State beat them. So, the head-to-head obviously doesn't matter. I mean, those two teams are like very close statistically as you can get. I just like Penn State here at home. They're unranked. I think they're probably a little bit pissed off because they didn't even get consideration, weren't even ranked at all. So I'm going to take the Nittany Lions to cover here. I think they upset Michigan at home. Oklahoma on the road at Baylor. Baylor is catching 5.5 at home against Oklahoma. And I don't know. I just think that Baylor's really not gotten a lot of credit here. I think this is a bit of an overreaction to the upset loss against TCU last week. Look, Baylor had gotten all the way up to number 12. They were one loss. I think that they hit their heads, got a little bit big, and they suffered an upset there. But I mean, they've knocked off Texas. I mean, they've knocked off BYU, both good teams. They routed West Virginia and knocked off Iowa State as well. Baylor is a good team, and they owe Oklahoma one. They really owe them one. Oklahoma's been playing all year not to lose. Haven't been playing to win and playing not to lose. And I think Baylor covers the spread here. I think this is a very, very tight, exciting ball game, maybe down to the last possession type game. I think ultimately Oklahoma is probably going to get the win here, but I wouldn't guarantee that. But I do think that Baylor, I circled the wrong team there too. It shows my head's not where it needs to be. I think Baylor covers the spread there against Oklahoma at 5.5. Mississippi State on the road at Auburn. Auburn is laying 5.5 at home. This is kind of a tough one to pick here. Auburn, ranked number 17. Are they really number 17 team? I don't know. I don't know. They didn't look very impressive to me last week against Texas A&M on the road. Pretty much shut down offensively. Mississippi State, had a decent road showing last week at Arkansas. Came up short. They're 5-4 right now. Kind of playing for some bowl eligibility, maybe. This is really a difficult game to pick for some reason. With Auburn at home, one would kind of lean toward them, but I'm going to go against the grain too. I'm taking Mississippi State to cover. Maybe Auburn wins. I think it's closer than that. Northwestern on the road at Wisconsin. Wisconsin laying 24 at home against Northwestern. Not a real good Northwestern team this year. 3-6 overall. Only 1-6 in conference. Kept it kind of close last week, though, against Iowa, a decent team, 17-12 at home. And team plays a little bit better when they're an underdog, I guess. There's been underdogs a lot this year. That's just a lot of points, though. I think that Wisconsin kind of, maybe for lack of better terms, blew their load last week against Rutgers. And they put a lot of points up on the board there in that game, kind of uncharacteristic of Wisconsin, to be honest, with a 52-3 win on the road at Rutgers. Here they come back home here in this situation. And I think that 24 might just be a little bit too much. I think they just kind of go through the motions in this game. And Northwestern's not a terrible team defensively. I'm going to take the Wildcats here. The purple covers at Wisconsin. UConn on the road at Clemson. Clemson's laying 41 at home. Give me the Taters. I think they'll have that covered by halftime. UConn's a bad, bad team. They did get a new coach finally. Jim Mora used to be the UCLA coach at one time. Made some NFL stops. We'll see. That's an interesting hire. Syracuse on the road at Louisville. Louisville is laying 3 at home. 4-5 against the 5-4 Syracuse Orange. I kind of like Syracuse as an underdog. One more win here, and they'll be going bowling for the first time since 2018, and I think they get it on the road at Louisville. Louisville didn't show a lot of heart last week, in my opinion. Kind of drove down there on Clemson at the end of that game and just kind of let that drive just fizzle out right at the goal line. Cunningham, quarterback, got beat up a little bit in that one. Give me the Orange on the road to cover and win against Louisville. Rutgers on the road at Indiana. Indiana's laying 7 at home. I think this is another little bit of an overreaction to Rutgers kind of getting blown out by Wisconsin. I think they just kind of, for lack of better terms, got caught with their drawers down there against Wisconsin. I think that Rutgers is a little bit better than that. Indiana's just had a really, really disappointing season. Sitting here at 2-7, they played some tough competition and hadn't fared too well. I do think that the Scarlet Knights will keep this one a little bit closer than that 7-point line. Give me Rutgers and 7 points. West Virginia going on the road, taking on Kansas State. Kansas State laying 6.5 at home. Dude, some of these are just really hard to predict. Kansas State has won 3 in a row. They've been playing a little bit better football, in my opinion, than what West Virginia has. They come into this game at 4-5, 2-4 in conference. Last time out, kind of got blown out by Iowa State or Oklahoma State a little bit. Week before, kind of upset Iowa State at home. So you really don't know what you're going to get here. I'm going to take Kansas State. I'm going to take Kansas State. I want to take the team that, in my opinion, has been a little bit better of late, and that would be the Wildcats. UCF on the road at SMU. SMU laying 7 at home against UCF. Boy, their stock sure has fallen a lot. Tough one to pick. Tough one to pick for me. UCF, last time out, they kind of just barely got by Tulane, 14-10. Quarterback got hurt a couple 6 weeks ago or so, and that's really kind of derailed their season a little bit. I think the SMU is probably the better team here, and I think they cover that 7 points. I think they get a nice win here against UCF and kind of bounce back from that loss to Houston last time out. So give me the Mustangs to cover here. East Carolina on the road at Memphis. East Carolina is a 5.5-point underdog at Memphis, and Carolina Jackpot is going to mess on around and take East Carolina in this game. They've been playing some good football lately. They have. They beat South Florida out a couple weeks ago. Just totally destroyed Temple last week, like 45-3, I think was the score in that game. and they've been looking pretty good. And they win this one, they'll get bowl eligibility. If Memphis wins it, they'll get bowl eligibility. Does East Carolina pull the upset? I don't know, but I think they cover against Memphis. You got Western Kentucky going on the road to take on Rice, 5-4. Western Kentucky is Rice. It's a 3-6 team. I'm going to take the Hilltoppers on the road here to cover that 18. I think they score a plenty and take care of business against Rice. Georgia State goes on the road to Coastal Carolina. Coastal is a 10.5-point favorite at home. Georgia State, close game last time out at Louisiana. Louisiana actually came back and won that ball game 21-17. Georgia State had won 3 in a row before that. The only thing I can really do here is I kind of got to compare this to their game against Appalachian State about a month or so ago, and they got blown out there, and doesn't look like they play that great against some of the better teams in this conference. The Louisiana thing being kind of an outlier. I think Coastal takes care of business here at home. I'm taking the Chants to cover that 10.5. Utah on the road at Arizona. Arizona is a 24-point underdog at home against Utah. Utah just absolutely destroyed Stanford the last time out. But Arizona is a tough team. They really are. They got their first win since 2019 last week. They played Washington tough. Could have and should have won that ball game. They played them tough. They played tough at USC. Utah clearly better than those teams, but a home game. I like Arizona to cover that 24. Georgia on the road at Tennessee. Tennessee catching 20 at home against the number 1 ranked Georgia Bulldogs. This one's, kind of went back and forth on this just a little bit. And, this is going to be a tough environment. The place is going to be full. But, Georgia's played under pressure before. They played in front of big crowds before on the road. Clearly, it's probably the best offense that they've played thus far this year. But the Georgia defense is just so good. And, even though they did lose Adam Anderson, turned himself in. I won't really get into that. And some sexual assault charges. But they're just so deep at every position on that defense, and you just got to ask yourself, what do you trust more? Do you trust Tennessee's offense that they just suddenly found a few games ago to score 21 points when Georgia's capable and will probably score 40 plus? I'm just more confident in Georgia's defense and their ability to shut Tennessee down. So even the Bulldogs cover that 20 points. Purdue on the road at Ohio State. Ohio State laying 20 at home against Purdue. Purdue's ranked. Pulled some upsets last couple of times out. They upset Iowa, right? And upset Michigan State last week. Now, they're no longer in the spoiler role. Everybody's got their eye on them, and you're not fooling anybody here. But I just think that they're legitimately a good team, and I think that Ohio State is not quite as good as previously thought. They've had some struggle wins too. Okay, so give me Purdue. Purdue cover that 20 points. I think Ohio State will probably win by 2 touchdowns. Seems about right. Minnesota on the road against Iowa. Iowa is a 5.5-point favorite at home. Minnesota. This is known as the Floyd of Rosedale game. Whatever that means. Minnesota, really resilient. They've lost their top 2-3 running backs, and still are able to keep keep pushing. They're 6-3 right now. If you take away, good Lord, they should be 7-2. That was a terrible loss to Bowling Green, and they've also what they lose? Who did they lose to last time out? Illinois. Man, I don't know, but other than that, I mean, they've looked pretty good. Geez, I don't really know which way to go here. I'm going to go with Minnesota. I just think it's just tough for Iowa to beat anybody by a margin. Really, really is. Southern Miss going on the road, taking on UTSA. The Roadrunners are ranked number 23, 9-0. Southern Miss has one of the worst defenses in the country. UTSA, really good team offensively, and 33 is a lot of points, but I'm still taking UTSA here to cover that 33 points. Southern Miss is just terrible, and UTSA may well have that covered by halftime. They're ranked, and they're pushing for a spot to move on up in that playoff poll. And I think they'll just absolutely obliterate Ole Miss at home. And I'm going to go on ahead and nail this one down as my lock, stock, and 2 smoking barrels pick of the week. Lock, stock, and 2 smoking barrels. UTSA cover that 33.5 point margin against Southern Miss. Probably win 45-7. Miami on the road at Florida State. Florida State is catching 2.5 at home. According to the indicator over here on ESPN, about a 62% chance for Miami to win this game. I just think this would mean so much to Florida State to get this win. Sitting here at 3-6 right now, if they were able to catch a win here, upset Florida at the end of the season, and then knock off a ho-hum Boston College team next week. I mean, they'd be bowl eligible. They'd be bowl eligible, and this is after losing to Jacksonville State in week 2. Imagine that. And it's totally within reach, and I think they take the first step towards that on Saturday afternoon. Give me old Florida State to cover here against Miami. One thing you know about this game, it's going to be close. These games are always close. Even if one team is much better than the other, they still, for some reason, it seems like they play close games. Miami, last time out, didn't look impressive against Georgia Tech. I think that Florida State will be able to move the ball on the ground against Miami, and I'm looking for them to cover there, probably get a win. Boston College on the road, taking on Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is laying 2 at home against Boston College. 1-4 in the conference. Georgia Tech's 2-5 in the conference. Boston College, they got their quarterback back. And looked pretty good. Last time out against Virginia Tech. I'm going to have to go with the Eagles here. Georgia Tech hasn't done a lot to impress me. I think they get another win here. I think they, kind of start making some ground up here at the end of the season. Duke on the road at Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech is laying 11.5 at home against Duke. Another kind of a tough one. Duke's not very good, but neither is Virginia Tech. They're kind of circling the drain here. I think that Justin Fuentes is on the way out. I think that's just inevitable that he gets fired by the end of the season. He's got 2 more losses coming up. You're not winning at Miami, and he's not winning at Virginia. Last home game of the season, could be his last home game, period, here. I think they probably come out and have a pretty impressive showing in this one. Try to save face a little bit. Give me Virginia Tech. Cover that 11.5 against Duke. If it was against anybody else, I probably would not pick Virginia Tech, but Duke's just really, really bad this year. Iowa State on the road at Texas Tech. I believe that Carolina Jackpot wrote that line down incorrectly. Yeah, I did. Texas Tech is catching 10.5 at home against Iowa State. Yeah, Iowa State, yeah. Is there a bigger disappointment this year in college football than Iowa State? I don't know that there is. We were talking playoffs for this team in the summertime. We're talking playoffs. We're talking playoffs. It's been nothing of the sort. Nothing of the sort. They've been terrible. Texas Tech, they hired themselves a coach too. Maybe I had a little bit of a shot in the arm with that. Maybe a little shot in the arm with the hire, the Baylor assistant coach. So I'm going to mess on around here. I'm going to take Texas Tech to cover. I'm going to take Texas Tech to cover, although their defense does scare me. Their defense scares me because they're really bad. But I'm just going out on a limb here with the new coaching hire thing, and even though he's not going to be a part of the game, but still I think he's going to have an impact on the program Saturday. Louisiana on the road at Troy. Troy is catching 7 at home against Louisiana. Kind of making a push here to solidify their position in the old Sun Belt West. There is Louisiana. Louisiana, I'm not too impressed with this year. They are 8-1, but covering spreads just doesn't seem to be their thing. Does not seem to be their forte. I'm going to take the Troy Trojans to cover that 7 at home. Keep it tight. I think Louisiana probably wins this game by 3-4 points, but it'll be a good one. Maryland on the road at Michigan State. Michigan State is catching 13 at home. Tough spot here. Maryland, decent team offensively, but they're still, just kind of mired in the lower half of Big Ten. And Michigan State, I think, is a team that's going to be, kind of salty on Saturday afternoon. I don't think that I don't think it probably sits well with them that perceived Big Brother was one spot higher than them in the playoff poll. Believe it or not, I think those kind of things do have an effect on games. So go ahead and give me Sparty to cover here against Maryland. I think they come out here and Kenneth Walker has a great game. I think they blow them out, win by about 21 points. UTEP on the road at North Texas. North Texas is catching 1 at home. This is weird. I don't get this one at all. Power Index for ESPN has North Texas a 61% chance to win, and UTEP is 6-3. They're 6-3 coming in. Man, I really don't get that. It looks like North Texas is worse defensively than what UTEP is. North Texas puts a little bit more yardage up, but not much, and they allow more defensively. UTEP's lost 2 in a row, lost at Florida Atlantic, and then lost to UT San Antonio the last time out. I don't know. North Texas has won 2 in a row against Rice and Southern Miss. I don't know. I'm going to take the bait here. I'm going to take UTEP to cover against North Texas. I think they'll get the win there. Probably won't, but I'm just taking that. Arkansas State on the road at UL Monroe. UL Monroe is laying 3 at home. Monroe is either blowing people out or they're like upsetting a really good team. I'm going to take Monroe to cover that 3 at home against Arkansas. Arkansas State is one of the worst defense. Actually, has the worst run defense in college football or in FBS. So I'm going to take ULM there. I think they'll cover that 3 easily against Arkansas State. Not a good football team. Stanford on the road at Oregon State. Oregon State's laying 12 at home. It's moved up to 12.5. Going ahead and give me the Beeve. Stanford has not looked good. Ever since that upset win against Oregon, they've just kind of fallen all apart. Going ahead and give me the Beavers there at home to win that one going away. Texas A&M at Ole Miss. Ole Miss is catching 2.5 at home against Texas A&M. And I'm going to go with the team with the better defense here. And the offense is kind of coming into its own a little bit. I'm going to grab Texas A&M to cover on the road at Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss is one of the most overrated football teams in college football this year. I mean, they don't do anything to impress me. Last week at home against Liberty, they failed to cover the Vegas number. And if you remember late in the ball game, I mean, Liberty quarterback Malik Willis was they were driving to potentially make that like a 27-21 game. And then with an onside kick, I mean, they could have recovered that thing and went ahead with a touchdown. I mean, it would have been very far-fetched, but it was possible. But you know, Willis throws an interception, and Ole Miss kind of runs out the clock. But they still, I think they're a year or two away from really being a contender, and they're losing the quarterback Matt Corral. He'll be gone. So I don't know. I don't know where Ole Miss will go from here, but I do think Texas A&M gets that win. Kentucky on the road against Vanderbilt. Kentucky is laying 21 on the highway at Vandy. And, this was just an abysmal first season for Clark Lee in Nashville. It's coming to an end. I think Kentucky is going to run the ball all over Vanderbilt, and I don't think this thing will be close. I think it'll be over by halftime. Give me Kentucky to cover that 21 points against Vanderbilt. They've lost 3 games in a row, and I think they right the ship here against the worst team in the SEC. Got Arizona State going on the road to Washington. Arizona State is laying 5.5 at Washington State, or at Washington. I like the Sun Devils. Like Arizona State here. Lost to Washington State last week at home. Here, I think they bounce back in this one against the Huskies and get a nice road win there. Washington just not a very good team this year. Got NC State going on the road to Wake Forest. Wake Forest is catching 2 or laying 2 at home against NC State, and I think that the Wolfpack win this game outright. Wake Forest defense is horrible, and I think NC State's quarterback Devin Leary will kind of pick them apart on Saturday afternoon, kind of exposing Wake as a bit of a fraudulent team. Notre Dame on the road at Virginia. Got Notre Dame laying 5.5 on the road in Charlottesville, the number 9 ranked Fighting Irish. Virginia's got an offense that can really put some points up on the board. They're a solid team, well coached by Bronco Mendenhall, and I think they keep this game close. I think they do, and I think that they could pull an outright upset. Notre Dame, I don't know. There's something about them that I just don't trust. Something about Notre Dame I just don't trust. With Virginia, you're looking at a guy that's thrown for 3,500 yards this year. Brennan Armstrong. They don't run the ball particularly well, but I think they could cause some problems for Notre Dame there defensively. Going to definitely test out that secondary a bit. Give me Virginia to cover at home against Notre Dame. Arkansas going on the road to LSU. LSU is a 2.5-point underdog at home against Sam Pittman's team, the Hogs. I think that the swan song for Ed Orgeron is starting to wind down a little bit. I don't really think that they're particularly going to play very well in this game. Just a funny feeling I have about it. Arkansas is coming. They're ranked now, number 25 in the country. Go on ahead and give me the Hogs. Cover on the road at LSU. Kansas on the road at Texas. Texas is laying 30.5 at home against Kansas. Texas, just because it's Kansas and they don't cover spreads unless they're playing Oklahoma, and that's not Oklahoma. So give me Kansas, or give me Texas. You know, they've had a little bit of unrest there this week. Had some kind of craziness with coach. Got recorded. You know, blessing out the team about telling them they could go jump in the transfer portal or something if they didn't like it here. I don't know. I think Texas rights the ship on Saturday against Kansas. TCU on the road at Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State laying 13 at home against TCU. TCU hasn't looked particularly good this year. Oklahoma State at 8-1. Another team, got to get some style points in there. And probably pull off an upset in their Bedlam rivalry against Oklahoma State or Oklahoma, if they want to, have some kind of an outside shot at winning their conference. But yeah, give me Oklahoma State here. I think they cover against TCU and take care of business there. Washington State at Oregon. Oregon is laying 14 at home. Take Washington State. And if I had another one, I would call this also my lock, stock, and two smoking barrels as well. And I also sprinkled some on the money line for Washington State to outright upset Oregon. Oregon's not impressive to me. They're just not impressive at all. They don't win these games by margin, and they don't look particularly impressive on the offensive or defensive side of the ball. They just happen to be the best team in a kind of a weak conference. Let's just face facts. There's kind of a weak conference. Yeah, got a nice win against Ohio State week 2. They wouldn't win that game if it was played today. And I don't necessarily know that they beat Washington State either. Washington State has been covering spreads and doing pretty well ever since Coach Rolovich was let go there because he didn't want to take the COVID vaccination, which is a mandate for all employees of the state of Washington, and he didn't want to do it, so he got let go. And so did his assistants, but they've been playing remarkably well despite those not so advantageous circumstances there in Pullman. So I'm going to take them to cover against Oregon. That's my other lock, stock, and two smoking barrels. And we got Nevada on the road at San Diego State. San Diego State is laying 2.5 against Nevada. Now, the last time out against a team that can throw the ball around, that has a high-powered offense in Fresno State, we saw San Diego State lose 30-20, and San Diego State, one of the better defenses in the country. I think they get it again. I think they get it again here. I'm going to take Nevada to cover that number. Nevada quarterback Carson Strong is absolutely outstanding. So there it is, guys. The Carolina Jackpot picks against the spread for week number 11 of the college football season. I'll make sure I recap this Sunday so you all can see how good or bad I did. I'll see y'all later, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw here today, please hit the subscribe button and hit the thumbs up. Trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. We're not very far off. Not very far off at all. I appreciate it, guys. Thanks a lot.